Hello, everybody. I am Jonathan Soo Hoo, and I am an expert in chess. And today I'm going to present to you a game of mine that was played at the Metropolitan International Tournament. It's going to be a two-part lecture or series. The first part I'll deal with the opening, and I'll deal with how I approached the game. So let's get started. And I think the most important part of this lesson is what I learned from my mistakes, and I'll go over that, as you shall see. Um, so going into this round, let me set the context. The Metropolitan International Tournament was a 9-round event. I lost the first two games against Caden Trough, and then against some uh, women's international master. And then the third game, I should note that um, during those games I felt really sick, and actually during the third game I also felt really sick. But at the same time, that game I drew. I was completely winning most of the game, but I blundered and I'm in trouble. Um, but at the same time, I feel like um, in that game, I claimed the draw because I felt like I wanted to just get on the board, so to speak, and not have not go the whole tournament with 0 points. Um, this was actually um, not a great tournament for me. After I drew the third game, I won the fourth game, and then in the fifth game, I drew rather quickly. So for me, I feel like I had every reason to play for a win in this game. Um, the the this game, it was a morning game. I feel like it was really a turning point in the tournament for me. Um, After this, in the seventh game, I lost as well. As I lost this game as well. But in the seventh game, I came to the board, and I really didn't feel like playing. Um, it was a terrible game for me. I just got destroyed out of the opening, and yeah, that was not. I don't like to think about that game because it was really bad. It was awful, honestly. It was. I don't think I've played that poorly in a long time. Um, but this game, uh, it was. It wasn't bad for me, honestly. Um, so the night before, I was stayed up till like 3 a.m. waiting for the pairings to be posted online because I was staying at a friend's place, and then I went to sleep at 3 a.m. and I said, well, fuck it. Um, I did not want to stay up anymore, so I decided, well, I'm just gonna go to bed and I'll prepare in the morning. So I woke up at around 8 a.m. So I didn't have that much sleep, but at the same time, I had I had my preparation done. The round was, I believe, at 10, so I had a good amount of time to prepare. Um, then get over to the tournament hall. But so let's go right into the game and let's see how my preparation unfolded. So I was white and I played the English. Yeah, let's and I'm told that a3 is another good the main move here now, and the idea is like a quick b4. But I didn't. I'm told that this was Kramnik's idea. But I only had Megabase 2010 for this tournament. So I didn't have the latest games. So right away you can see off the bat how not having an updated database really impacts my preparation for games. But it doesn't matter. It, I played castle after e5, d3, bishop b7. The main move is knight d2, and I'll just give a sample variation. After saying knight bishop d7, knight c4, f6, f4, b5, knight e3, takes, rook takes. Castles, knight d5, knight e6, rook f2. I mean, this is just a sample variation. These moves are not forced by any means. And this is roughly equal. I think white might have a slight edge. White has 3 pawn islands, but as opposed to 2 for black. But at the same time, white has more central pawns, 2 versus 1. These are better central pawns. So I think white can claim a slight edge because of the central pawns. I mean, this bishop is looking at the powerful diagonal. This rook is looking at that queen. So I think white can claim a slight edge. But certainly nothing decisive. And it was an option. It was certainly an option, and for a long while during my preparation, I was considering playing this line, but I decided not to. So I played bishop e3. This was part of my preparation, and this is not a very common move. I saw that this was played by a Georgian grandmaster. I forget his name. It was played several times by him, and he had quite good results with it. So I figured, you know what, I might as well try it. See, test my luck. So what's the idea? The idea is not to waste a move, a tempo with knight d2, and just get right into the action. Look, bishop e3, rook c1, looking at this pawn on c5, and just give knight e4. Again, another attacker on that pawn, giving white quick attacking chances on that pawn. So my opponent played castles, rook c1, knight, bishop d7, now knight d2. As opposed to knight d2 at once, my bishop is already out. It's already on e3 and participating in the attack. c5. So that's why I felt like this was slightly improved. But I don't think black should be any worse, honestly. Rook b8, f4 is this is the main line, and I think this should be approximate equality. But he played f6, which I believe was a blunder. Well, not a blunder, but certainly an inaccuracy. Because now I just played knight d5. And we see I'm threatening to just take on e7 and then take on c5. And if, say, knight takes, bishop takes, king moves, bishop takes, and I just want a pawn. Okay, so knight e6 was played. More or less forced. If b6 defending this c6 pawn, I have a nice shot. Pause the video if you want to see if you can find it. If not, just keep on going. Okay. Hopefully you pause the video. b4. Exclam. And if knight takes b4, I can take this way, and then I just win the exchange. And if rook c8, then I take, knight takes, bishop c5, and white is clearly better, border on winning in this position. Okay, so he can't play b6 at all. It was a nice shot, and we'll see. I wondered because I saw that in, later. So knight e6, and the idea is that now if I take on e7, then he takes, and that pawn is defended twice. And I don't think there's anything I can really do against it. Now, could I have played knight takes e7, queen takes e7, bishop d5. Knight d4. Oh, if you take here, then I just play rook over, and then take on b2, and that's best. Okay, so in my calculations, I saw queen b3, and I thought I was completely winning. I disregarded b6, the move b6, because I thought, well, he couldn't do it before, but now he can do it. He can play b6 because I no longer have the b4 thrust, and I completely overlooked this move. So yeah, I should have played a3, and then the idea is just b4, or I can bring my the idea is just b4, or I can bring my queen back, queen to b3, and then I can drop it down to b2, keeping the pressure on this diagonal. Because on b3, it really is inviting a knight d4 thrust, and that's why. But queen b3. So I consider this a slight inaccuracy. I think white's still better. But b6 was played, and I realized, oh shit. Well, I didn't realize it right away. I was like, okay, well, you can't play b. Also, I thought b6 was, there's no way it could be possible. Because if this knight weren't here, I'd be able to take on c6, bishop takes, queen takes e6, check. So I'm attacking the queen and the bishop now. King and the bishop. So king has to move, and I take on c6. And now I got rid of these guys. And you can see I'm up a piece for pretty much nothing. So I was like, well, in my calculations, I said to myself, well, this can't be playable. Can't be playable. I mean, I was out of preparation after f6. And I thought about it a little bit, very little. And I said, this is how I'm going to respond. Knight d5. And it made a lot of sense. I was like, this can't be good. And then I proved it was not very good rather quickly. But a3 was the move here. So queen b3, b6. And now you see all the tactics work out for him. If I play something like knight takes e7, queen takes e7, and the knight on e6, e7 is now defended. I take on f6, rook takes f6, the knight on e6 is defended. Knight takes b6, queen takes b6, the knight on c6 is now defended. Everything just seems to work out. And knight c3 is just way too slow, as after knight a5, I just have to go back, and then bishop c6. So, and that might have been the best option at this point. But I thought f4 was just a brilliant move. I'm threatening you to play f5 now, in which case that'll disrupt his harmony among his pieces, and then I'd just be winning. And we'll see it almost works, but not quite. All the tactics just work out. So if you play something like knight e4, then I can take on e7. And then bishop takes, I take queen d1. And then the rook on a8 is hanging at the end of the variation. Same thing with knight takes. Obviously knight takes d4, we already looked at that. So if c takes, then I take, and then that bishop is, the rook on a8 is hanging. E takes, then again I take, and the rook on a8 is hanging. So this is what I thought he was going to play, and this is what actually I expected during the game. F takes, knight c4 is what I was planning, and then I looked at the position and I said, you know what, I have a lot of pressure on that e5 pawn. And I thought, this has to be better for me. And I think it is better for me. Okay, but knight a5. I saw this move in the game and I said, okay, I'm just going to go right back. Queen d1. So what? And now I have this pressure on this diagonal. Look, the bishop is looking at that rook on a8. I can play something like f5 at some point, at an opportune moment. I can play knight e7 at an opportune moment as well. So I thought to myself, well, I must be better here. So he took on f4. And I thought about it. I was like, I saw all this in my calculations when I played queen b3. And I intended to play knight takes f4, and I didn't really calculate it. And after knight takes f4, knight takes f4. And I realized, oh shit. If I take on a8, which I saw in my calculations, he has knight h3. And I completely missed this in my calculations. And the idea is that now that knight runs away, and I don't win the exchange. I just traded a rook for 2 pieces, and while it's not a terrible trade, it wasn't what I was looking for. So I realized this, and I thought, okay, well, I'll play pawn takes. So now I'm attacking this rook. So next move, I'll just play bishop d5. Bishop d5, then I'll play f5, then I'll play here bishop f4, and then I'll play e4, and then I'll play queen h5, and then queen rook f3, rook h3. And this will be a decisive attack. So what happens now? Bishop c6. Now I realized, oh my gosh, this is a nightmare. And I stopped calculating because I like I said, I thought I was completely won in the game, and I just played bishop h3 almost immediately, and that was a mistake. Even if bishop h3 was the right move, it was the wrong move. It was for the wrong reasons. I was so frustrated. And I thought I had blundered away a win, and I was stunned. So I think I'm gonna conclude the video here. But the point of this is I messed up. I just shouldn't have been so hasty, and I shouldn't have played such a bad move. Alright, well, and I'll tell you one thing, in hindsight, I think this is where I lost the game. I lost the game right here when I stopped calculating and started just playing very emotionally. And, so yeah, we'll pick it up next time right here, and I'll talk to you more about that lesson. Thanks for watching.